Welcome, everybody, to Thunderbolts Postgame Report. Thunderbolts insider Joe Downs, along with a guy who called the game, Tommy Pecoraro. And Tommy, first of all, what did we see out there? What a great game and a big win for us.
Absolutely. It was a good weekend of action for a team that's still trying to find their transition from last year's team to becoming a real contender in the SPHL. And what better way to match up with the two-time defending champs, the Huntsville Havoc. Last night's game was a very close game. They put on a really good product out, and despite the circumstances, they only lost by a single goal, and they really took it down to the wire. And we saw a lot of that same thing tonight, where Thunderbolts matched up very well with Huntsville. They kept things close. They had a very good two-way game, and in the end, they got rewarded for it.
You know, I talked to Coach Bess, head coach Jeff Bess, during they were trying somebody out, the new goaltender. And I said, what did you think of the game last night? He said, you know, we made stupid penalties that kind of hurt us, and he said if we can avoid that, he said I think we got a really good chance tonight, and it turned out that way.
Right, and they got in a little bit of penalty trouble early in the third period, but unlike last night, not counting the 5-on-3 penalty kill, which was fantastic, but besides that, they didn't kill off the other two single power plays later on in the game, killed off all 4 power plays. So yes, he did get in a little bit of penalty trouble again tonight, but they made up for it, and they killed it off.
And really, the big point of this game was in the third period when you had back-to-back penalties. I believe both were against Connor Sanvito. Was that
I believe
correct?
They were, yes.
And it was almost immediate. As soon as he came out of the box, he was right back in there again.
Right, and that's really a matter of when you take a penalty like that, you feel good about killing that off. Then you have to go right back and go to work, and that can be a mental challenge at times. But they went right through it. 1 shot against in the first power play of the 2, and 1 on the second one. Consistent penalty killing all the way through. And that was a big part of the strategy going forward, is improving on the special teams. And even though they didn't score on the power play looked much better too. On the first 2 combined power plays, they had 3 shots on goal and a shot off the post by Brandon Lubin.
Yeah, much better organized for sure. We're talking about the penalty kill. We're talking about the power plays that didn't translate into goals. Let's talk about goals themselves. We've got to talk first about Matthew Barnaby Jr.
Absolutely, and it goes back to Dale Dion. He actually got a championship ring last night in Huntsville as part of the pregame ceremony. He was a member of the team for most part last season, so certainly he's got a little bit more jump this weekend facing off against his former team. Couldn't find his way in the scoreboard last night, but he made it count tonight. A nice neutral zone feed to Barnaby, who was waiting at the Huntsville line on a breakaway. Made no mistake putting it between the legs.
We talked to Matthew Barnaby after the game, and he was pretty happy. He had a busted lip, and let's go to that interview right now. You seem to be finding the net, or at least finding your way around the net a lot more here lately. What's been working for you?
You know, I'm just trying to work my hardest down there, and you know, my line mates have been making it really easy, so a lot of the credit goes to them, and they're 2 really easy guys to play with, and yeah, I think we have really good chemistry, so it makes the game really easy.
How big a win is this? I mean, it's early season, but you'd lost 4. Last night was a real gritty one, a tough one to lose. How big was this one?
I think it's huge because I really think that our team should have won the last 3 games, but you know, we just couldn't find a way to pull it out. But I think that we're going to build off this, and we're going to start to string a bunch of wins together.
Okay. Last question. You mentioned the last 3 you feel you should have won. You know, what's been the difference? It seems like you guys have really kind of found a groove.
I think we just took away their amount of shots on net tonight, and we tried to put the puck to the net as much as possible. And I think just capitalizing on our chances is the biggest thing.
And, of course, the big goal tonight, that happened in the third period. That was Stanislav Zykov. And pretty impressive. And he said that was the easiest goal he's ever scored.
Absolutely. And I was talking about Brandon Lubin early on. He hit the post in the power play. He's another person that set up this play. He had the shot from the blue line. That ended up down low. Connor Sanvito banging away at the net. He kind of got tied up with one of the Huntsville back checkers, and in turn got tied up with Mike De Laverne. So there's that rebound opportunity. One of the big things is getting guys to the net in terms of generating offense. It turns to a great opportunity. Stan Zykov doesn't make a mistake in that scenario. He puts in the back of the net and turns out to be the game-winning goal.
And that's something we've been talking about throughout this tough losing skid, is just throwing the puck at the net and seeing how things kind of happen. And I talked to Zykov after the game. This is what he had to say. Pretty wild third period. You know, take us through that goal.
You know, just went to the net, hoping for a rebound. Sam made a good play, you know, poked it puck through. It was one of the easiest goals I'll probably score. Just the empty net. You know, my linemen did a good job, worked hard, won the battle.
Four losses in a row. Obviously, you guys wanted to get off the schneid in a big way. You know, how big is a win for you guys?
It's huge. I think, you know, all new guys, all new team. We're playing together, you know, just trying to get to know each other a little better. But that win was huge for sure for our confidence. We needed a couple of games were close. We just, you know, made a couple of mistakes. They made us pay for it. So tonight was huge for our confidence.
How about just the overall gritty performance? You guys played a gritty game last night. It didn't work out for you guys. Did that carry over to today?
Yeah, for sure. You know, sometimes it does go your way. You know, you lose a few games in a row. It's for sure that winning game is gonna take a lot. You know, just hits and gritty goals, go to front, that kind of stuff. You gotta win those games first, and then you start making plays and getting a little prettier wins.
And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Braden Ostapchuk, thrust into the starting position with Max Strang being sent up to Fort Wayne on a loan, and he performed pretty well as well tonight, Tommy.
Absolutely. One thing about Braden Ostapchuk, he was in net for the majority of the games last season. Easy to say, goaltender with only 5 wins out of 30-something games, he's not going to be good. But you look at the save percentage, he had a .900 save percentage last season, and on that kind of team that they had last season, that's pretty good stats. And he did well in the one start he had against Peoria. Obviously, it wasn't a win, but he made the best of the opportunity he had with Strang on call, and he was strong tonight, very strong in net.
Absolutely. We got a chance to talk to him as well. And he said that this was not even close to his best game he's ever played, but he was still pretty happy about his performance. I don't want to put too much of a finer point on it, but where does it rank as far as your professional career?
I'd say it was a good performance, but I wouldn't say it was anything special. We played a solid game. We kept everything to the outside, and it made my job really easy. So, I just did my job, and that's what I'm supposed to do every night. So I'm happy with that.
How important was this win? I know it's early season, but you guys had lost 3 in a row leading up to this. How important was it?
Oh, it was huge, because with the losing streak and getting early in the season, tensions are starting to rise. But it was a huge opportunity for the team to kind of come together and get some belief that we can play with the best teams in the league and we can win, and we had a great performance all night.
Last night's game in Huntsville was a bit of a heartbreaker. You guys played your hearts out, didn't get the result. How much of a carryover was that to this one?
It's hard not to think about it because obviously, the games carry over, but you can try to avoid riding the roller coaster of the season. It's 56 games, and you're going to have some tough ones, you're going to have some good ones, but it's a new day, it's a new start, and it was a fresh day today, and I think we did that. We came in with a fresh approach, and we were able to get a big win for us.
Now we have to move on from that, and of course we've got Quad City coming up on Military Night.
That's right. Quad City is a team that the Thunderbolts have a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth against. Last season, the very last weekend, the Thunderbolts in both games in Quad City had 4-1 leads. Quad City came back both times to win 5-4. Already a season, the Thunderbolts not the very best season for them, and just adding insult to injury in those games. They're going to want to come out strong against Quad City and really make a statement early.
Now, I don't want to jump too far ahead here, but you talk about blowing 4-1 leads. What we saw tonight, I don't think that team's capable of blowing a 4-1 lead. They're a much more gritty squad.
Absolutely. They're much more grittier, and they're much better all around, offensively, defensively. A lot of these players play a very good two-way game. Braden Ostapchuk brings a lot of good goaltending to the table with more support in front of him. Max Strang has shown that as well. And depending on, of course, not depending on which goaltender, because both have been very well in net. Yeah. So certainly an all-around, much improved team on the ice for Evansville.
All right, Tommy, before we go, I want to remind everybody that Tommy and I will be out at the Marriott Courtyard by Marriott, I should say, Evansville East on Monday night. That is going to be for Evansville Thunderbolts Live. That's going to be a good one. We're going to have a couple of players on there. We don't know yet, so be surprised. I know Tommy and I will be who's waiting out there. But
absolutely. Should be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So for Tommy Pecoraro, I'm Joe Downs. Thanks for tuning in to Thunderbolts Postgame Report.